Good afternoon, and welcome to the next episode of the SOFTSWISS Crypto Podcast here today with Max Krupyshev. I hope I pronounced the name okay here as a Swedish person here. But Max, how are you doing?
I'm very good, Pierre. Pleasure to be here. Thanks very much for having me. And the pronunciation is close enough. I would say you are on the better selection of the options that I heard so far.
That makes me happy to hear, Max. So obviously you're the CEO of CoinsPaid. You are a crypto pioneer in the space. You've been part of the Bitcoin and blockchain space since 2013, 14, something along those ways. I read in your LinkedIn
13,
profile.
yeah.
Yeah.
Started in 13, more professionally got involved since 2014. So it's been more than 10 years now.
Yeah, exciting times for sure. And we're going to talk about crypto payment gateways as it pertains to the iGaming industry today, which is obviously probably the hottest topic of the industry right now. Is how do you process and accept payments from your players into your online casino? And so this is the first question here for you, Max, which as we pointed out here, one of the main concerns is the ability to accept payments. And can you give a bit of an insight into the current state of the payment systems in the iGaming industry and the primary challenges that operators face today?
Um, I think cryptocurrency for many casinos is sort of like a savior, right? As we know, right, in this space, everyone are struggling with the payments for them to be global, right, for them to be quick, for them to be cheap, and preferably irreversible, right? Because we all know, right, you need to have a whole bunch of different acquirers, right? You might need to place different acquirers for different players, for different volumes of those players, or depending on the reputation of those players inside of the casino. Cryptocurrency pretty much simplifies a lot of these things, right? As this industry pretty much already on the market for a long time. Speaking about SoftSwiss, I think that they were one of the first ones, right, who created a real crypto casino platform, so to say. And it happened also like 2013, 2014, right? I heard even Montic was speaking on the stage already in 2014 with this idea and with the pilot that he was launching already at that time. So the industry is quite advanced now. The products are quite advanced. The regulation is quite advanced and everything. So the challenge to accept crypto payments right now, I would estimate it as quite low. So for everyone who really need to have crypto payments for their B2C brand, for their B2B operations, would it be game provider, affiliate, or whatever, using cryptocurrency is already not a huge challenge, especially if you know people in the industry. You can ask for recommendations, with whom to work, how to integrate. Um, Pretty much challenge right now is very low.
Brilliant. And what perks do operators get by using crypto?
I usually try to narrow it to just a few things, right? It starts with the three I, right? It's instant, it is irreversible, and it is international. So pretty much addresses the pains of the casinos. The pricing is not within this I, maybe because I don't know how to phrase it with an I. Um, Basically, it's reasonable price, right? If you compare to the usual acquirers, cryptocurrency is very competitive. I mean, it's usually closer to 1% when acquiring for different markets can be usually starts from 2% for the deposit and ends up who knows where.
Brilliant. And could you explain more the technical side of integrating blockchain into your existing payments system?
Yeah, there are basically two philosophies, right, of how people do that. One of them maybe is I don't know, hard to give the characteristics if it is more obvious or not. Some people with huge ambitions from the start, they start investing into getting expertise in working with various blockchains and the custody of those funds on their own, right? So they start investing into R&D, into own development, and trying to make blockchains work together with their system, right? We see this still exists, right? For example, BitCasino, right, being as a very very old player in the industry, They were playing with the Bitcoin payments for casino already for over a decade, I think. So they have own development of the crypto nodes and so on. It gives a certain flexibility, but for the smaller brands, for mid-sized brands, it might be a bit of an overkill, right? Because then you pretty much you not only operate the brand, you not only operate the platform, but you also have to deal with being a payment provider on your own. We see this with the stake, by the way, right? As one of the very big casinos. And the second one, which is more suitable to operators, right, or to platforms who want to concentrate on the platform itself, but not so much on the payment side of the things, is integrating a provider. The challenge is much lower, right? The cost to start getting value is much lower. In the end of the day, the cost for supporting crypto infrastructure and so on only becomes more relevant in the costs if your volumes are in the hundreds of millions, right? So if your volumes are in the hundreds of millions, then it makes sense for you to have your own capacity to develop your own solutions around blockchains, around nodes, around the systems which reads those blockchains and mempools, certain anti-fraud systems there, and security of holding that cryptocurrency. Plus also you need some ways to liquidate crypto, not to be exposed to the price fluctuations. When working with the provider like us, for example, the API integration is relatively simple, right? So it's pretty much the effort of just integrating another provider. Many of operators, they would be using some aggregators, right, or the payment orchestrator methods or payment facilitators. Basically, they just have to ask them to integrate the provider who they select, right? So the challenge is quite low. They don't need to do a deep R&D. They don't need to really worry about how exchanges work, how these transactions are processed, how they are not being lost, how quickly they are going, and so on. Then the provider centrally will care about all these things, and of course, then payments are happening with a certain fee, right? So of course, some incentive needed for the provider to process all those payments and care about the fraud side of the things, the money laundering side of the things, and basically just securing all the operations, all the support, all the account management of the client.
So essentially, if you are, let's say, an old school online gambling operator and you aren't necessarily a crypto native, let's say, but you recognize that it is important to offer crypto payments as a solution to your customers, you don't need to be that deep into the crypto world or the blockchain world as an operator in order to start accepting crypto payments if you use someone like CoinsPaid, for example.
Yeah, I usually say, we work not only with iGaming clients, right? We also work with e-commerce, with the software developers and so on. And I used to say that our clients don't need to understand what blockchain is, right? Our clients even sometimes they don't know that USDT is not a currency, right? That USDT lives on different blockchains, right? It's just a certain way of being an asset, right? Our clients don't know the difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? They don't know details. What are mining fees and why do they matter and why are they different for different blockchains, right? So we still believe that it's not a must to know these things, right? Our product allows financial managers, CEOs of the businesses or the payments managers of our clients not to understand crypto on the somewhat deep level. Of course, when we have client who understands crypto deeper, right, we face with the more, interesting discussions, right, on the needs of that brand, how exactly they want integration to work, right? More robust discussion might happen, right, with the client who is more deeper in the cryptocurrency. But other than that, we have plenty of clients who feel that investing a lot of time in getting that knowledge is unnecessary, right? And they work with us quite successfully. And if they have any questions, the support manager, account manager, customer success manager, they always will be able to clarify and rope in some technical personnel if needed to explain particular things. So I would say it is not needed. I think in general it is better if they do. But you can say this about all the other methods, right? Do you need to know deeply how acquiring works in order to accept Visa, MasterCard on your website? Probably not. Does it help if you understand it better? It helps.
Yeah, it's a good point. Can you share some interesting use cases, perhaps, Max, as well, where blockchain has successfully enhanced the payment gateway, whether it is in iGaming or beyond?
Yeah, we can say basically right now cryptocurrency is becoming a completely normal mean of payments, right? We still see that not all the crypto owners, all the crypto investors, they particularly use crypto to pay, right? So this is still a bit of disconnection, but also quite a correlation, right, between the amount of crypto users, general interest in cryptocurrency, and amounts of people who pay crypto and percentage of crypto payments within the whole bunch of payments. They are different depending on the market, age group, and the type of business. We have clients, for example, who do e-commerce in Estonia, and they do e-commerce for the people, I know, for the age group over 40, right? So we see that the conversion there in a very low risk, in a quite conservative market, with where the products I'm speaking about this, like the spare parts for cars. Right, and you understand that the profile of the person is usually maybe someone who is professional, right, in repairing cars, maybe having the station, right, which repairs different sort of cars. So of course for them, crypto might be a bit of an alien, right? So there we see a certain amount of the conversions, but it still works, right? So it is completely different. Where we see a bigger sort of values are mostly in the very international businesses. So if we are on the gaming sort of industry situation at the moment, we can see that one of the quickest growing casinos at the moment, who owns the F1 team, is the Stake.io, right? We all know that they are primarily blockchain based, right? And this was the main USP and the main go-to-market strategy. Oh, this is huge, right? Just imagine if they didn't decide to go with crypto, right? I think it would be completely different result and completely different brand by now. Going more closer to the real world, right? We see bigger guys experimenting with crypto. It all started with Elon Musk selling the Teslas for Bitcoin, right? Then I think he had some discussions with SEC and maybe with his sustainability team. Some concerns were raised, right? And I think it is on hold at the moment. But just recently, I think like approximately half a year ago, Ferrari announced that they are now selling cars in all the dealerships in US using Bitcoin. Right? They are not using all of the cryptocurrencies, but they definitely use USDC and Bitcoin. Which sort of Ferrari is one of the most well-known brands in the world, right? Accepting cryptocurrency. They need it. Why? They need it more for the exposure. They need it more to show the innovation and innovativeness of the brand. So bigger use cases, they are happening while we speak, right? Bigger companies experimenting with crypto. Speaking about Nuvei offers crypto as the part of the payment suite. Speaking about WorldPay, for example, right, who is also quite a big provider, they are against Bitcoin, right? They say on the website that we don't plan to accept cryptocurrency anytime soon. So we see even with the bigger guys, there are different messages, right, that we hear. Yeah, I can continue giving the examples, right? Different, like who are pro and who are against, for whom it works, for whom it does not. For example, Amazon hosting services, they announced that they accept crypto within certain collaborations with certain companies on the certain markets, right? We still cannot shop on Amazon with crypto. Hopefully we can soon. But I can say the same about PlayStations, Netflixes, Ubers, Bolts, and so on. They are still not there, but I'm sure that they are discussing it already.
Yeah, and as a follow-up question to that, Max, I mean, we are 15 years into this experiment since Bitcoin was launched in the late 2000s, and there's still quite a lot of resistance. I mean, it's not exactly standard to be able to pay with crypto yet, even though so many people are actually using crypto. What's the main challenge, do you say? What's holding the biggest brands of the biggest industries back from accepting crypto at this point? Is it all down to regulation, in your opinion, or?
It's a very good question. So basically, I see few things, right? The first one is, and I can be quite quite a rough answer, but I think this is a bit of laziness to understand the technology, right?
Yeah.
Just people are a bit lazy to understand what is crypto, to understand what is Bitcoin, how it all works, and they just saw in the news that, oh, it's risky. We recommend not to do that, right? Statement, by the way, I posted on the LinkedIn. There was a statement from Finansinspektion of Sweden. I would say a month ago. They said that they created an article and sent it to all of their subscribers, all the members of the financial ecosystem of Sweden, 4 reasons not to touch crypto. This was the name of the article. I would say it's very one-sided, right? It didn't sound like advice how to deal with crypto, advice how can you utilize blockchains to get value, right? It was called 4 reasons not to touch crypto. And this tells a lot, right? There are a lot of businesses who just see these articles and they're like, okay, crypto is not my thing. You know that people didn't believe in airplanes for like 20 years. They didn't believe it existed, right? They said, I mean, this cannot work, right? The metal thing cannot fly. I mean, this is obvious, right? They thought it was magic, right? They thought it was a scam, a fraud, or whatever. Until you understand, right? Or until you see this happening. So I think we are approximately there. So it's a lack of willingness to understand and dig a bit deeper. This is the regulatory concerns, right? So bigger companies who are listed and so on, they understand that introducing crypto in their ecosystem infrastructure will be raising certain concerns, right? And for them, business value is not big enough to accept the risk, right? So this is one of the main reasons. And the third reason is again around business value, right? For example, if you are IKEA, for example, right, from your motherland, what are payment challenges of IKEA really? Do we really think that they have problems to accept money in any market? I would say no, right? The acceptance rates are high. They accept Visa, MasterCard. They accept American Express. They accept cash. They have cashiers which accept cash. So for them, risk is very low, and not even the risk, right? For them, advantages of using crypto are extremely low. And I would say if you think about all these statements, we still see that for many businesses, many big businesses around the globe, accepting crypto might be not ideal way from just a pure business view. I'm not assaulting anyone of being lazy or whatever. The need is just not there, right? If there is a need, and if CFO says we definitely need to have it to improve a lot of things, then of course the CEO and the board, they will spend some time to research what is that. But speaking about the smaller brands who are really fighting for the share of the market, for really like each customer, right? This is very important, each customer. For them, this might be a big thing. For example, speaking about smaller businesses, we see this in few markets in Europe. I mean, as a company, we decided not to work so much with the very small businesses, right? I'm speaking about maybe like a one employee shop, like a salon, like a beauty salon, right? Or a hairdresser or the manicure. They have clients who are asking them if they can pay them in cryptocurrency. We see this happening in the markets, especially where there are a lot of travel and a lot of foreigners. For example, we see this in Poland now, where there are a lot of people immigrating from Belarus, from Ukraine, right? They move their assets quite often in crypto, right? Because they sell their assets in their countries, right? And sometimes cryptocurrency is the only way how they can move their capital abroad. And of course, for them using this instead of exchanging it on any of European exchange, it's better for them to look if they can be spending it within the realm of their everyday, every week need.
Brilliant, Max. And you mentioned Finansinspektionen earlier in the outline here, our dear Swedish finance regulator. I just want to apologize on behalf of the Swedish population for our slow-moving finance regulation there. I'm sure we will catch up at some point, but that's how it is, unfortunately, at the moment in Sweden. On to the next question, Max. So, what specific blockchain technologies are you excited about in the context of payment gateways now as we move forward? Is there any innovation happening in that space? What comes next here, basically?
There are a few interesting things that are happening. First of all, we see a lot of innovation in our space is the second name of this industry, right? So what we don't lack is in innovation. I see that some innovations really pick up the pace, right? They really pick up the utility, right? Because as a payment provider, we don't need to support some technologies which are not big enough, right? Because the customers still not aware of this technology and they will not be using that, right? So we are always lagging behind the innovation for a particular reason, for a business reason. The solution that we give to our clients has to be something that their clients, right? So the players already aware of, right? So giving our merchants additional solutions that they might need to integrate, right? Spend additional effort, spend additional time and money, without the adoption of the end user, of the player, doesn't make much sense. So what we see right now, we see the huge shift from Bitcoin on-chain payments into cheaper blockchains, right? So right now we see a lot of things happening on the Tron blockchain, especially with USDT. A lot of people just moved. You remember USDT was on Bitcoin in the beginning. They moved from Bitcoin to Ethereum, then Ethereum fees were killing it, and then they moved to Tron. And right now, the next movement, which we already see and we're already preparing, is move to Solana, which is even a bit cheaper than Tron. And also we see that the Telegram wallet, they call them Just Wallet, have TON as a currency, and they also support USDT. So the next bigger thing potentially that we see would be TON. We see the development of Telegram casinos. Right now we have the Telegram wallet. Telegram wallet will have Telegram wallet pay. So potentially Telegram is entering the realms of the what's the name of Chinese way? It's WeChat, right? I mean, Chinese wallet app, exactly. Messenger, super app, right? For everything, including payments. So we see Telegram is moving that way, right? So potentially right now, not only the Telegram casinos will enjoy the payments with one click in the Telegram, but also other brands. So this is what we see speaking about blockchains as it is. But there are also other things, right? So there are layer 2 solutions. I can argue about like how much it makes sense, right? Because they are not so much decentralized. If it is still important to anyone. Because if it solves the case, maybe it's not that important that it is decentralized, and completely centralized solutions. What I mean, Bitcoin community is working on the Lightning protocol, right? It's not something new. It's also a technology which has been on the market for a long time, a bit slowly adopted, but this is something where people can send Bitcoins in a semi-centralized way, but much cheaper. For those who still want to use Bitcoin, it is still the case. Layer 2 technologies, they exist on for many blockchains. But I still don't see a big value of using layer 2 on Ethereum if you have layer 1 blockchains like Solana, right? They are quite quick. When we speak about the centralized solutions like the Telegram wallet Pay, it for me stands somewhere very similar and very close to the solutions from Binance, for example. Binance Pay is a completely centralized way to check out from your Binance account. So innovations here, how I see them, in order to give speed, efficiency in international deposits and irreversibility, in order to cover all these things, we need to be able to support not only layer 1 technologies, but also layer 2 technologies and also centralized solutions, right? Like easy checkout from Binance. Sometimes our clients are facing the question, right? Do we need to integrate centralized solutions as well? Right? And my goal is to make sure that they don't even have to think about it, right? They integrate us and they just have everything. We don't have everything at the moment. We are actively working on it. But this is the business strategy which we are going.
Really interesting to hear the outline here, Max, and the trends and technology is shifting so fast within the space. It's interesting to hear. And on that note, we have.
Pierre, I forgot one more thing. Which is important, which might not be so suitable for gaming, but also yes, recurrent payments. Right, so recurrent payments was always a challenge for crypto, making it in decentralized way. Basically, we see more and more companies basically appearing who solved that case. They are solving it with the smart contract, right? So even if you have your own Ethereum wallet in the MetaMask and whatever, you can sign up with the certain website to the certain sort of contract. You can authorize a certain limit and allow the contract to charge you every month, let's say $20. So if we speak about business models of subscription ones like Netflix, we are very close to be able to offer it, but we have to understand that it will not work in all of the cases, right? It works only with the blockchains and with the wallets which support smart contracts.
Smart contracts, yeah, exactly. Interesting. And so on that note, we talk about the fast-moving space here, Max. So final question for you today is on the recent event of the Bitcoin halvening that took place a couple of weeks ago. And I want to ask you, considering that every time the halvening happens, which is every fourth year, essentially the mining rewards gets cut in half, which disincentivizes miners. Essentially, they all of a sudden get paid less, let's say. And I've always been really curious what this means in the long term, Max. So if we go forward a couple of years and we assume that the Bitcoin network is becoming more and more active, which means that it takes more and more energy to uphold the network, which means that we need more miners to mine Bitcoin. If eventually electricity costs is higher than the mining rewards, doesn't that mean that eventually the Bitcoin network can't sustain itself? And I wanted to that's the big question, and then the kind of more local question is, how do you think the recent Bitcoin halvening will influence iGaming in the near term and long term?
Yeah, Pierre, also very good question, but also very deep.
Philosophical more than anything, maybe.
Yeah, a lot. It's very economical question, right? It's very much of the supply demand marginality question, I would say. So basically, what is happening, right? Also for our listeners, right, who might not know a lot about Bitcoin, but they all know that Bitcoin is limited in supply, right? But they don't know how can you exactly limit something in supply. So halvening is exactly the instrument of limiting Bitcoin, right? There was like a joke riddle, right? Endless amount of mathematicians are entering the bar, and one ordering a pint of beer. The second one is ordering half a pint. The third one is ordering quarter of the pint, and bartender says, "Hey guys, I know the case. Here are the 2 glasses, and please go away." Basically, if you just halve one endless amount of times, this sum of endless amount will be exactly the same amount. right? So half of the Bitcoins were mined in the first 4 years, and right now it's just every 4 years we get half of what was mined within the previous 4 years. What it means really for the miners. For this, very important to understand that miners are not so much supporting the network that it's really needed for them to support the network, right? This is a very tricky protocol which is called proof of work, and this is just a way of the random selection. So the more miners there are, the more decentralized the system is. If you imagine that all of the miners switch off tomorrow completely, and I only have the phone which mines Bitcoin, it will be enough for the blockchain to work.
But it
the
will be
amount
really
of
slow.
load, no, it will be the same speed. It will be the same speed, and everything will be processed in the same way. It will not be decentralized.
Okay.
Maybe we will have some very small synchronization issues because, for example, my phone, if it's, for example, somewhere in Europe, for people to connect to my phone from Australia or from US will take additional seconds, right? It can happen, but it will not change a lot. So all these miners, they are not needed. This also addresses a bit of ecological question of the Bitcoin, right? Those mining capacities, they are not needed for that, really. Bitcoin blockchain produces blocks 2 megabytes every 10 minutes. You can imagine that whatever you need to process for the 2 megabytes in our world is nothing, right? 2 megabytes of any crypto calculations. I mean, okay, I'm not speaking any, right? But just usual hashing SHA 256 is not complex one. This technology was invented, 40, 50 years ago when computers were, you know where, right? Where people, doesn't matter. So my phone will be enough. What happens is the economical side of the things break. Because if you invested 1 million in mining capacity, right, and it was mining for you Bitcoins for 1,100,000 during the lifetime, right, or whatever, you still had profits. But right now, your equipment mines twice less Bitcoins in absolute values, right, in Bitcoin values, because the reward that you get from blockchain itself, right, which is the rewarding mechanism, is just half of that. So you are in the same situation only if Bitcoin at that moment of time grows in price twice, right? Then you get the same value in euros and dollars. But you usually pay for your electricity in euros, and you usually buy that equipment at least with the euro equivalent, right? They are not ever sold with the fixed amount in Bitcoins. So your mathematics and economic incentives, if you are investor in the mining equipment and in the mining farm, changes a lot. Just to summarize, the idea of Satoshi Nakamoto, right, a person, right, who is still mysterious, who created Bitcoin, I think was the following, right, that as adoption grows, more people need to transact in Bitcoin. So there would be a big incentive in the beginning of the Bitcoin journey, right? But then every 4 years, it will halve, but also more people will need to use the network, right? Because all those mining fees, they are a plus to the emission, right? So right now, emission of the Bitcoin, I think it's very sad, but I don't remember if it was from 6 to 3. I think from 6 to 3, right? So right now it's around 3 Bitcoin plus transaction fees. So all the miners suffer unless Bitcoin increases in double twice or fees grow to cover this 3 Bitcoin. Because of the limited amount of the size in block, it can only process 3,000 transactions. And basically, if you calculate additional 3 Bitcoin for this 3,000 of transaction, you will figure out that it's very expensive, right, to send these transactions. So right now, miners are suffering. It also creates additional thing that Bitcoin influences the whole market, right? Because investors, they mostly see Bitcoin as an investment vehicle, and they usually see all other crypto assets as the share of price with Bitcoin, right? So it's usually like how many Bitcoins are for one Ethereum, right? So because Bitcoin influences the whole market, and then the whole market is still very much connected to Bitcoin, the cycle of the whole market is 4 years. And if we look at the past, of course, the story is not so long, right? What we are 16 years, right? On the, in the going, 2009.
Yeah, 15.
Okay, 15, 16 years we are. And basically, if you look on the whole history, it's pretty much every 4 years. So the 2 years we are dropping, the 2 years we are growing. 2 years we are dropping, 2 years we are growing. And usually these 2 years of growing, they start slightly before and after halving. So it's more like a speculative side of the things. It doesn't influence transactions that much in the long run. But what happened on the halving, humans were behaving like humans, and a lot of transactions, they wanted to be exactly in the halving block, right? And as we know, it's limited. In order to be there, you have to offer crazy high price. So what happened on the night, and I forgot when it was, 14th or something, it was 2 a.m. European time. What happened, the fees for Bitcoin transactions were extremely high because a lot of people, they decided to pay extra premium to be in that block. And that is how all the wallets work. They see what's the last price of the fee, and they put the same price. So everyone who were not controlling what their wallets are doing, I'm speaking about about people and companies, they continue sending this transaction with the crazy high fees. I'm speaking about
Right.
X100 from what is normal. X100, right? So if you pay $2, you paid $200. This was happening. In the long run, what it means for a gaming industry, in the gaming industry, if not just halving means something, but just the absence of the understanding that we need to scale the size of the block. 2 megabytes is not enough. Unless we scale it to hundreds of megabytes or to gigabytes, Bitcoin is officially not suitable for payments. If the whole world is using Bitcoin, 3,000 transactions in 10 minutes, not enough at all, right? We're not even speaking, we need a bit more, right? It's in the realm of multiply by 1,000 and then again by the 1,000 if it is working well, right? So what Visa, I think, is doing tens of thousands a second, right? So if we want to speak about the real usage of the Bitcoin in payments, we need much more. So Bitcoin will not be used a lot in payments. Lightning Network might, but Lightning Network is very centralized. And I think that people who really care about using decentralized solutions, they would be more okay with using Tron, Solana, and so on. They might not be so decentralized as Bitcoin, but they are definitely not so centralized like Lightning Network. It requires, the deeper understanding of these things requires deeper understanding of what is Lightning, how exactly it works, and how people really use it, to maybe understand deeper what I'm saying. But gaming industry should go use cheaper blockchains for sure. Centralized solutions from the bigger exchanges potentially works, right? We'll see how it plays out with the wallet pay from Telegram. Those are, of course, a bit of anti-blockchain technologies, let's call it so. But if the market demands it, right, and if these centralized solutions, they can still make it irreversible international for a good price, then businesses would use it. And there is no trick and no riddle in which technologies win. Those technologies who just solve the business case. This is how our world works.
Brilliant, Max. This has been an incredible masterclass in the latest when it comes to payments within the world of crypto. I'm looking forward to get this episode published so I can watch it again. There's some really fantastic information in here. So thank you so much, Max, for opening up all your knowledge and for sharing it with me and to the industry. Thank you so much.
Always pleasure. Thanks a lot, Pierre.